Today I'm going to show you how to make basic scones. Now there's lots of different recipes for scones, but this is just going to show you the kind of basics, and then you can decide whether you want to adapt these to make them savoury scones or sweet scones. So what we need is 200 grams of self-raising flour, which is in here already, along with 50 grams of cold butter, just cut into small cubes. We're going to rub that in using our fingertips. And then the only other ingredient that we need for the basic recipe is 125 mils of milk. So like I say, to start with, we're going to rub this in. What we want to do is incorporate the flour and the butter together. I'll be honest, I really don't like this job, and you can do this in a food processor if you've got one. You just pulse it until it looks like breadcrumbs, but don't go too far, because if it starts to become sticky, that's not what you want. But I'm going to do it with my fingertips for you, in case you don't have a food processor, so you can see just how easy it really is. What we're doing is breaking down these big chunks of butter into smaller and coating them with the flour. And we're doing this just with the tips of our fingers. If you start to use the whole hand and get it onto the palms, they're warm there, and it can cause the butter to melt and therefore release fat, and that's not what we want to happen. So like I say, just your fingertips, and just keep on rubbing it in until you've got fine breadcrumbs. So it's got to fine breadcrumb-like now. If you wanted to just check that you had all the big lumps, just give the bowl a little shake and it'll bring the big lumps of butter to the top. If there's any that are too big, just give them a rub in. And then that's when we start to then incorporate the milk. So at this point, it's just going to be a very basic recipe with no flavourings. What I'm going to do is turn these into cheese scones. So I'm going to add some grated cheese. If you wanted to make fruit scones, you could add in some sultanas here, maybe a tablespoon of caster sugar as well. Or if you just wanted them to be plain to then have jam and cream with them, you could just add a tablespoon or two of caster sugar at this point and carry on making them from here. But like I say, I'm going to make cheese scones, so I'm taking a good handful of grated cheddar cheese and popping that into the mixture, along with a teaspoon of mustard powder. Now what mustard powder does is enhances the flavour of the cheese, so it just makes the scones a little bit more cheesy flavour without adding any more cheese. So like I say, at this point, regardless of what's in here, if it's just plain or if you've got a little bit of sugar, you start to incorporate the milk, and I'm just going to use a blunt table knife to start to incorporate that through. Adding the milk gradually. If it's too dry, then you can add a little bit more, and if you make it too sticky, you can always add a little bit more flour, but it's best to just do it gradually so that you can gauge it better. So we have it in a nice big ball here in some flour, which I'm going to roll out. If you don't have a rolling pin, then you can just press it out. Actually, it doesn't matter at all. We don't want them to be too small because we want them to rise nicely. So probably about that size I'm going to go with. Take your cutter. Traditionally, if you're making a savoury scone, you use the flat side. If you're making a sweet scone, you use the fluted side. I don't think it matters at all, but pop it in and then remove the scones and put them onto I've lightly greased this baking sheet, and then keep on doing that. Now this is quite a big cutter, so I'm making quite large scones. That's okay, I like scones. So we won't make that many out of this mixture. Just bring it back together and do the whole process again. Try and make them roughly the same kind of thickness so that they cook evenly. One more, so that's 5. I would say probably with a smaller cutter you could make 10 mini scones, but you can always double the recipe, adapt it to whatever it is that you want to do. So I've got 5 nice big scones there, and what I am going to do is just brush the top with a little bit of milk. And then these are going to go into a preheated oven. It's 200 degrees, so a hotter oven than I would normally go for. And for about 15 to 20 minutes, but these are quite big, so you'll have to judge it slightly by your own size, just until they're cooked through and risen. So these have been in for 20 minutes. I checked them a little bit earlier and they were doing really well, so now it's time to get them out. Here they are. There we go. I hope you enjoy experimenting with the flavours, and they'll make a really good snack, or also perfect for a picnic. Thank you.